Hi, welcome to Mary Keeps You Company, the show you can have on in the background. If you like this kind of show, I hope you'll click on the subscribe button and give it a like. That's what you're supposed to do. I don't know. I do that sometimes. Seems like a fine thing to do. If you do that, you'll get notified, I think. Maybe you have to click the bell or something. Anyway, I'm glad you're here. Sometimes you just need something on in the background, and I'm here down at this office. There's nothing on in the background. There's nobody here. It's Sunday, and these things behind me, they kind of look like space pods. I've decided they are little rooms that you go into to make calls. They're like little soundproof cubes. I don't know. Room. They're called room. There are 3 room. Are there? Yeah, three room, and then the room I'm in. So we have a room within a room going on, times 3. So my eye is twitching. It keeps doing that when I start filming. That's weird. That means something. What is it? It's 2:30. Time to go to the dentist. Get it? 2:30. What time do you go to the dentist? 2:30. And so the sun keeps going, doing different things. It's always doing that here, which is nice. So I'm going to read a question. I pulled up these questions. They're not philosophical questions. They're actually conversation starters from Parade magazine. And I was scrolling through. I mean, picking one at random is fine. And that sort of catches me off guard, which is maybe, I don't know, maybe that makes the content a little more dynamic, a little scarier. But as I was pulling up this list of conversation starters, 250 of them, my hair, there's one that I saw that seemed like it'd be kind of fun. I mean, the word fun is in the question. And the question is, tell me 3 fun facts about yourself. Okay. I have a fun fact. I think it's fun. I can always tell when someone got a haircut. I mean, you may think that's like, well, yeah, somebody got a haircut. You can tell. But can you? Because if they got a very different haircut, well, sure, you can be like, oh my gosh. But some people, even when they see a person with a new haircut, they might be like, oh, something's different about you. Is it your hair? You know, they won't be able to tell exactly. But I can always tell. I always know immediately that they had their hair cut, even if it's just a trim. I mean, it's just so obvious to me. It's like, oh, you got a haircut. And I don't know, I just noticed. And it could be because photographic memory is like, that's like Sherlock Holmes territory. But, this is very chiaroscuro lighting right now. Sorry I'm so self-aware of that, but there's a big monitor in front of me, and I'm not talking to anybody, like, in the room. So you kind of... But the chiaroscuro is, I don't know if I could spell it or not, but it's the kind of lighting that Goya would employ in his paintings. Lots of Renaissance paintings had chiaroscuro, where half of the figure was very dark and half of it was very light. So it's this style in painting where you have very high contrast between light and dark. Anyway, that's kind of what's going on. So yeah, photographic memory, kind of more of a Sherlock Holmes kind of deal. I don't know that I can claim I have a photographic memory. And I mean, maybe I should look at what that actually means, because if it means I can take a look at, like, you know, a microchip or like a motherboard or something very complicated and look at it and then like be able to recreate it, you know, for you by remembering it, no. But I always know where things are. I feel like maybe I talked about this before, but like when Eric, yeah, I think I did. Anyway, I'm keeping you company, you know. Who cares if I repeat something, you know? Yeah, Eric's looking for his shoes, or he's looking for some cord. He's always looking for some kind of cord or electronic thing, because he has a lot of those things and he needs them from time to time. And so he'd be like, do you know where? And he'll always sound kind of annoyed, you know, like who moved it, you know? He moved it. But it'll be like, where is my, external hard drive, or where is my thing? And I'll be like, but it's near the printer, sort of to the left of the printer. And it is always. I can find things. So I can find things spatially. I suppose that's kind of a thing. But really what this is about is being able to identify when someone has a haircut. And yeah, I kind of like it. I kind of like that that's my like secret superpower, so useful. The photographic memory thing, I do kind of I wonder if there's a test. I would like to take that test. I'd like to see if it's really true. And when we would be on, this is why I think I told you this before, because I just have a feeling that I've said this to you, that when we would be on Quilt Folk location shoots, and we would be in someone's home and like adjust their space to get the picture, get the right shot. As far as I know, I just knew exactly where to put everything back. There were discussions at times about how much altering to do for those photographs in Quilt Folk magazine, because we would be, if you don't know Quilt Folk, it's a brilliant magazine where we travel. I was editor for a long time. I stepped down for other projects, but I'm an editorial advisor still, so I can still say we. We travel state by state, 4 issues a year, no advertising in the magazine, 164 pages in every issue, ad-free, quarterly, yeah. And each issue focuses on quilts and quilt makers in a different state. So we travel the country, right, state by state, making an issue of Quilt Folk magazine. There's never been anything like it. It's fabulous. So I would be on the road with my intrepid writers and photographer, some of the best days of my life. Wow, what fun, right? Piling into a car and like going to make really great content. And we would go to a person's house, a quilter, or an artist of some kind. And, as editor, and in that role, I was photo stylist as well, for sure. Because we only had like 4 people, and I really like styling photos and doing that editorial. So I would like, move a chair, or I would like take some stuff off the bookshelf because it was, papers or something was like, or there was like a plastic shelf, a plastic set of drawers or something in a studio that was just full of like plastic or something. Plastic does not look good in a picture that you're trying to make. And if you look at quiltfolk.com, you'll see what I mean. And we have beautiful photographs. And I would move things around because I wanted to show the best of this person, the very best of their world. And plastic shelves, we've all had them. I don't have any now, but I might have some in the future. I don't think I would. I hate plastic shelves. But, my desk at the office that we're at home, oh my God, if someone was coming in to take a picture, I would be thrilled that they would be like, okay, let's like let's take the glass that you were drinking out of, let's take that away and let's like sort of organize the chaos a little bit. Okay, now, Mary, please sit down and we're going to take your portrait. So those are the kinds of things that I did. I never like fully rearranged their living room. Yes, definitely moving a chair here and there. I would move a table sometimes, but like in terms of, like we didn't bring props. We started bringing props to a location shoot, which most location shoots, that is what happens for magazines. I've done them where you brought props and dishes and things like that. That's not what it was. So it was just about showcasing that person in the best possible light, showcasing them and having the focus be on them and not on like, I would never want someone to read a profile of someone in Quilt Folk and say, like, I like their quilts, but like, did you see their studio? Like, because people are like that. They'll do that. And so there were plenty of instances you can see in the magazine where things are chaotic, but they're like awesomely chaotic. And it's probably because we removed like a plastic bag full of scraps from the cutting table and took the scraps out and put them on the table without the plastic. I have a thing about plastic. I have some with me all around me. Look. Scrunchy, hair thing, plastic. Do I like it? No. Is it useful? Yes. But I wouldn't want it in a picture. Like if it didn't add anything to the story and it was just weird, I'd want somebody to take it away. And I would want that same person to put it back where they found it when they were done, which is what I can do. I can also do this. Ow. Ow. That hurts. It does hurt. Well, we did that. Okay. Yeah, okay, fun facts. Well, I can do this. Lots of people can do that. Fun fact. I mean, I learned how to sew on national television. That's another quilt thing. I didn't know how to make quilts until I was 28 years old. And I don't want to tell that story. I don't know. I never made quilts until I was 28, and then I went on my mom's TV show, and I didn't know what I was doing, and it was like, scandalous. It felt terrible that I didn't know how to make quilts, but I just asked the questions I needed to ask, and I learned how to do it in front of millions of people, because millions of people watch public television. Millions of people. And Fons and Porter show, Love of Quilting, was on like 91% of the public television markets, millions, like 21 million, something, I don't know. So yeah, I took my lumps. It's cool, whatever. I like sewing. I don't do it much anymore, but I have 2 quilts that I need to make, and so thankfully I'm going to be back at it. Oh, I miss making quilt. Oh God. But I don't have a sewing machine here, and I haven't had a sewing machine out in like several years because I moved from a larger apartment where I had room for a sewing machine at like my big huge table, and into a much smaller apartment, and it would have gotten set up except I got married and my husband moved to Chicago, and we just haven't worked that out. But I went from 1,500 square feet in Chicago to 900 square feet, and it's a different deal. Anyway, so I don't have a sewing machine out in Chicago, and I don't have a sewing machine at all here in London. So we're moving soon into an apartment with more space and more light. And I gotta get a machine, man. I gotta sew. I really do. I gotta sew. I'm feeling it. I wanna do patchwork. Ugh, bliss. I wanna do patchwork so bad. So I'm gonna do that. But but I didn't know how to do it until, 28, 38. It's like 12 years ago. So I learned how to sew on public television. Okay. Weird. Okay, here's a fun fact. So I've been reading about a thing, a trait, a character trait. It's not a pathology, this character trait. Anyway, okay, let me tell you what it is. The HSP, the highly sensitive person. It's a character trait. It has been identified as a biologically, doctors, researchers, psychologists, it's something that you can find literature about, okay? So there have been like formal studies on this particular topic, trying to determine if indeed there is a character trait that can be, identified as such, and, labeled, named, the HSP, the highly sensitive person, okay? Now, I am not a fan of, sometimes I think like people, they have these identities, I identify as this, I identify as this, I identify as this, and it's like, well, I identify as a person, and there's lots of different, facets of myself, and lots of, I'm a person. It's all very complicated, and there's all kinds of things, and I change, from one year to the next, and I change from one season of life to the next. And so to identify as this or identify as that, for me, I could identify as a lot of things, a person with chronic illness, a person, with, who struggled with depression, a person who, identifies as a particular kind of feminist, there's a million things, but I don't know. I've read some good stuff. There was a great great article in Harper's Magazine not terribly long ago about the danger of identifying, labeling, yourself in all these different ways, and it actually it doesn't help start conversations or sort of set free these things about ourselves, but it actually contracts, because we have to identify with this very particular, thing that we're identifying as, instead of just being a person in all of our multitudes, right? Anyway, so that said, it's important to say, because I identify as a highly sensitive person. So what it is, and these studies that have been done, or that are definitely still being done, they, some people think this is crap, this idea that there are highly sensitive people, but from what it seems, and a woman who wrote a big book on it gave a talk at Google, and that's on YouTube, which is pretty interesting, that 15 to 20% of the populace sort of could be identified as highly sensitive people, a highly sensitive person. Oh, you know what I'll do? I'll pull up the, are you a highly sensitive person? And I'll just read how scary it is when I answer these questions. HSP questionnaire. Let's see what we get there. Are you highly sensitive? Test. Self-tests. Okay. So, okay, the HSP. Well, the best thing to do is to go through this, these questions. Okay, yeah, all right. This is from IDR Labs. I mean, I don't know who wrote the book on this. Let's get that. HSP book. It's like Evelyn or Eileen. The book is The Highly Sensitive Person, How to Thrive When the World Overwhelms You. 6th printing in its 6th edition by Elaine N. Aaron. I want to... Why highly sensitive people make the best leaders. Disagree. Really? That's in Forbes. But I'm not so sure, because I would be interested to read that, because I am not a great leader. I'm a great cheerleader. But I tried to manage a team of people once, and it was like one of the worst experiences of my life. Maybe it was just a team that was not functional, right, from the start. But, I mean, I don't know. I just want everybody to have a good time and like feel good. And so that makes it hard for me to like direct them, if that makes sense. And so I didn't do much direction. But then when I did want to direct something and like said so, it came out of nowhere, So I don't know. The highly sensitive person quiz. Okay, let's see if we got this. Highly sensitive person test. Oh, okay, here we go. So this is from hsperson.com. And it seems to be, yeah, this is legit. You have the About Dr. Elaine Aaron, so this must be, yeah, so she's set this up, right? Dr. Aaron earned her MA from York University in Toronto in clinical psychology and her PhD at Pacifica Graduate Institute in clinical depth psychology, interesting, as well as interning at the C.G. Jung Institute in San Francisco. Jungian, interesting. My sister Hannah is super into Carl Jung. Besides beginning the study of the innate temperament trait of high sensitivity in 1991. Okay. She, along with her husband, Dr. Arthur Aron, A-R-O-N, are two of the leading scientists studying the psychology of love and close relationships. That's sweet. And important. Well, that's sweet. It's very important. I like that. They are also pioneers in studying both sensitivity and love using functional magnetic resonance imaging, MRI. Very interesting. I dig her and her husband. She maintains a small psychotherapy practice in Mill Valley, California. Interesting. There's a foundation. Foundation for the study of highly sensitive persons. The purpose of the foundation for the study of highly sensitive persons is twofold. 1, to educate the public about the trait. And 2, that's what I'm doing, so give me some of that foundation money. No, I'm kidding. And then 2, to fund new research on it. Okay, all right. Resources for interviews, self-tests. Okay, well, I need to read this because I got the book. It's in Chicago. Started it, but I just couldn't handle it. No, actually, it's funny. I did get the book, The Highly Sensitive Person, and I did begin to read it, and I did get overwhelmed because in the beginning, when you read something that you identify with so deeply, if it's like somebody is just like telling you your life, like, have you ever blah, 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 blah? Have you ever blah, 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 blah? Well, then you might blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yes, I have da, 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 da. I do da, da, da. That's me, That was what happened when I did this self-test in that book. And it was within the first 20 pages, of course, because Dr. Elaine is wanting to know, why did you pick up this book? Okay, well, let's see if this is a book for you. And so, you take the test early on in the book, and I kind of like threw it across the wall, or threw it across the room, and hit the wall. I was like, what is going on? Because it was really me. And you can read into things. People like patterns, and they like to feel a part of, and you can also be swayed. I mean, it's sort of well known that if a questionnaire or a survey or something asks a question in a certain way, you can elicit a certain response, and this is manipulated, and it's really terrible in some instances, surveys and polls and things. But this, and as you will soon see, this was different for me. It was really hardcore identification that I had with this test of high sensitivity. Okay, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to self-test with this. I don't know if it's the same one that I took in the book. Probably. But let's do it. I don't know if this is a fun fact about me that I am this thing, but I'm keeping you company, It's as good as anything, right? Okay. Questions. Here we go. And you have to check if it's true for you or not. Okay. Let me make sure this is still recording. Yeah, everything's fine. Okay. I'm not editing that out anymore. I just Okay. This is copyright Elaine and Aaron, 1996. Are you highly sensitive? I am easily overwhelmed by strong sensory input. True. When there are two things, and by the way, sorry, just one more thing. You may very well agree with some of these statements because, well, yeah, like strong sensory input, like I don't know, like somebody's like really heavy perfume and like their loud radio that they're playing like in the office, it's like, oh, like you'd be like, can you turn it off? And like, oh God, that perfume, stuff like that. Like strong sensory input is probably going to bother a lot of people if they didn't ask for it. But I would say, and that makes sense. But I would say the aggregate, how many of these questions, do I or you answer true to? And the wording is probably pretty important for Dr. Elaine. So I'm going to, listen, I'm going to read very closely, do a real close read on these questions. And for this one in particular, I am easily overwhelmed by strong sensory input. With the perfume and the radio, like, ugh, you might be like, oh, that's ridiculous. Like, oh, they need to turn that down. Or like, can somebody just like tell her not to wear so much perfume? Like, ugh. And then you might like say something eventually. For me, like, I have got to leave the room. And I mean, it's almost like, it's very painful. It's painful. If something is too loud, like I go like this and I get a headache like instantly with really strong perfume, and I can't handle it. And one of the things that sucks about this highly sensitive person stuff is, I mean, we'll get to that and you'll probably put it together, even with this first question, like, you're a delicate flower, I guess, right? And you're high maintenance or something like that. And maybe that's true, you know, like being high maintenance, it's probably true if you can't handle like loud sounds very well and you have to leave a party, you know, soon because this is like, this is too much. You know, it definitely seems to people who don't understand how bad it feels, these strong sensory inputs, it would for sure seem like, you know, Mary needs to, you know, leave the room, or she's high maintenance. She's a control freak, you know. This is the control freak gets trotted out all the time to people who have different needs, you know. So yes, I'm easily overwhelmed by strong sensory input. 2. They're not numbered. I'm going to lose the numbers. I seem to be aware of subtleties in my environment. Okay. That's all I do. That's all I do is just have awareness of subtleties in my environment. I mean, I cannot leave a room like for the day or the house or anything without just setting it right. I fold the blanket every day on the back of the couch, always, every time. Every time it's been stirred, I put it right. I adjust the things. I hang up the coat. I, will tidy. I do not scour. I do not get out the bleach and rub my fingers raw cleaning. It's not like that. It's not obsession and compulsion. Maybe it is a little, but I'm very, very aware when things are just kind of disordered. And I can't think when it's like that. If there's like a jammy knife, like on the, no. Wash that off. You just get things set, because I have to think and I have to be a person, and am I an animal or a man? And I cannot. It makes me very, very nervous and almost scared. Definitely scared if things are just totally crazy in the house. And like if I come into a room and there's like an icky fluorescent light on, for example, and there's a nice lamp that I could turn on instead, I'm going to do that. Like, no, what's the word I want? This is non-negotiable. Rooms that have fluorescent lights and lovely lamps don't often occur, but just like, I'm just very aware of the environment, and I want to make it better if it's not as good as it can be. Okay, maybe it's kind of like the quilt bulk settings, right? I'm very sensitive to how things are, and I want to make them look their best, because life is pain. I mean, really, life is really hard. Take the knife with the jam and put it in the dishwasher. Life is better. I believe that. Okay, other people's moods affect me. I'm a sponge, man. You know how like the thing, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy? Well, if Eric ain't happy, Mary ain't happy. If the team that I tried and failed to manage wasn't happy, I wasn't happy. If, a friend isn't happy, I'm not happy. When Eric's in a sour mood, I mean, it's terrible because it's really hard for me to be in a good mood, because I love him, and he's like, well, he's sad or he's discontent, and he's usually, kind of a jerk when he's like that. Sorry, honey, I love you so much. But like, he's grumbly and he's irritable, and then I become grumbly and irritable because I just can't, I don't know. I try to be not that way, but I'm a sponge for other people's moods, without a doubt. I tend to be very sensitive to pain. When I would go to the dentist as a child, and we have teeth with a lot of topography, ridges, lots of ridges and dips. So we would get cavities. That doesn't happen much anymore for a long time. But kids eating crap and not brushing right, and so we got cavities. I didn't realize that I could ask for more Novocaine. It wasn't until later when I was like, I feel that, can I have more Novocaine, that I could even go to the dentist. But I would just be inconsolably stressed and nervous, and yeah, I feel pain, yeah, a lot. I find myself needing to withdraw during busy days into bed or into a darkened room or any place where I can have some privacy and relief from stimulation. And this one, see, like highly sensitive, like just that question, right? I mean, what's been so hard about the apartment that we're in? There's no place to go. Like the construction is so loud, like from morning till night. And like, forget the drug stuff, forget how, you know, there's like a lot of sick addicts, you know, who really hang out, like, and like today by the bikes, like there was so much garbage and like a whole chocolate cake. Like I'm telling you, like it's ridiculous. It's crackers. It's crackers. There was like a chocolate cake like tipped over near Eric's bike, because they really have found that corner and they really hang out there now. But whatever, forget all that. Like the construction, and I didn't even talk about this much in the other video, and sometimes I wonder if I even should have made that video, because it's like, oh, boo-hoo, Mary, you know, you're on a rough block. Like a lot of people live on rough blocks, you know, I know. And I can move, and it's like white tears, you know, like I get it. I thought about taking it down because I was like, I don't want to make anything worse, but you know, the family, you know, below us and to the side of us too. I mean, just, man, I am not at all, you know, gonna fault people for having a bunch of kids. But it's just hard, you know, like there's a bunch of kids downstairs, little ones. One of them makes a lot of vocalizations all day. He's just trying to calm himself, soothe himself. But the sound is there. I might have mentioned that. And the point of this is not like they suck. The point of me saying this is that, I mean, these past months, like, I need a place. Everybody does, but I really, really need a place that's quiet a little bit, you know, every day. I don't need to go into a darkened room. I don't need to take a nap. I used to have to take a nap every day. I just didn't have much of a choice. I would get so tired. Man, I just don't have that. And then in the morning, you know, I just write in my journal, you know, I just want that for a little while and I don't have it. It's tough because when you're like this, you know, you get sad and you need stuff like peace and quiet, and you just sound like a princess who just has to, I just need, you know, quiet. But I can well do. And it's not about, you know, oh, please get these, you know, I can't deal with my troubles. I don't want to deal with my stresses. You know, I just would rather have it be quiet. No, it's like, I'm in trouble, man. I can't like, I don't know. It just messes everything up really bad. And it's not that I want some tuffet to sit on and just quiet all the time. It's just, I need to withdraw during busy days in particular, where I can have some privacy and relief from stimulation. Not just that I would rather have it quiet, I need relief from it. I am particularly sensitive to the effects of caffeine. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, sure. Maybe. I don't know. Am I don't know. That's like a neutral. That's a neutral. A net neutral. I am easily overwhelmed by things like bright lights, strong smells, coarse fabrics, or sirens close by. I mean, ask Eric about the sirens. For a long time, I mean, I plug my ears like that when sirens come by. And I've lived in cities my whole life, so I've had a lot of sirens go past me. I've been in things with sirens, vehicles with sirens. It's not as loud in there when you're in an ambulance, you know? Like it's not as loud as it is outside. But when I'm standing on a street or a sidewalk and an ambulance comes by right next to me or just like on the block, I have to do this because it's so painful. It hurts. It hurts. And of course, it's a very, very loud sound, the high decibel kind of thing. And it probably hurts your ears too. But I don't see many people doing this. And I didn't used to do it because I thought it looked dumb and like, baby, you know, like, delicate flower, right? Like, and I would just like grin and bear it, and like, it would hurt so bad. And then I got to be like, I don't know, 35 years old, and I was like, okay, I do not care what I look like for 2 seconds amongst total strangers. When the ambulance goes by, I'm in pain, I'm gonna plug my ears. Don't care. And I still feel like a dummy, but I don't care because now it doesn't hurt. But if I'm carrying heavy stuff and I can't, like, I have to go like that, you know. And strong smells, yep, instant headache, with perfume and just like, I don't know, like manure. I don't know, I kind of like the smell of like a farm, you know, like you pass a farm. But yeah, I mean, sure, everybody smells a pungent farm. But if it's a bad smell, you know, that's the worst. Let's see, where am I? Bright lights. Oh yes, the fluorescent lights, right? Take them down, put on something else. Very important. Coarse fabrics. I remember I had a dress, a Marnie dress. It was so cute, and it itched, and it felt so awful, and I couldn't even think when I put that thing on. I tried several times, couldn't do it. It's really hot in here, and I'm wearing a sweatshirt. We better move more quickly through this. I have a rich, complex inner life. I mean, yes, it's kind of weird to be like, I do have a rich, complex inner life. I do. But I do. I'll give you proof of this. I think it's proof of this. I write in a journal. And since I started really, I mean, I've always sort of kept a journal or whatever, but, you know, my journals from before 7 years ago are lost to time. I don't know if they would be anywhere, but you know, say 8 years ago, I guess, I really started writing in earnest, and I write about 1,000 pages a year. I know because I did the math. I have books upon books upon books that I keep, Luke term journals. They each have 250 pages in them, and I've filled, you know, however many books that it would take to get to about 8,000 pages. I write all of that because it's in my head, and I have to get it out. And I love writing in my journal, and it's like that time, you know, that I just have time to just like have relief, you know, from everything. Relief from the world, and also I think it's fair to say like relief from my rich, complex inner life. Once I get it out, it's sort of like easier to be in my head, you know. I am made uncomfortable by loud noises. We've gone over this. I mean, you know, a baby crying on a plane, like who isn't uncomfortable about that, you know, over that? And I say I'm like, you know, couching these things and sort of, you know, taking some of the intensity out of these questions, not because I don't think that they're very spot on. It's just that I want to help you know. I hope that anybody who watches this video will say, I know someone like that, or I think I'm like that, because I don't want you to think that I don't see that these things are true for a lot of people. You know, if you drink the Kool-Aid about something and you're like, I am sensitive to coffee, and I do have a rich, complex inner life. It's because the problem with this HSP thing is that these things are true for a lot of people. And so it would be not so strange if someone was like, yeah, HSP thing, that whole thing, it's ridiculous. Like, it's totally fake. You know, it's just like somebody wanting to have a diagnosis or somebody thinking they're special, you know. I get that. But I do believe that there are those among us who, for us, this is a very, very sort of liberating questionnaire. I am deeply moved by the arts or music. Yeah, I mean, my sister Rebecca, she's in the film world. And I mean, crying at movies is her favorite thing to do. She's like a lot of people. Crying at movies is cathartic and beautiful, so she really does that. Is she a highly sensitive person? I don't know. And by the way, if you're not a highly sensitive person, if this does indeed exist and you don't answer yes to all these questions in this questionnaire, Are you a cold, calloused, unfeeling person? No, of course not. It's ridiculous. My sister's emotional depth, knows no bounds. She's amazing. My older sister too. These are very sensitive people, very emotionally available people, emotionally intelligent people. But I think they would both agree that of all of the three sisters, this would be Nair. Yeah, I mean, I can't hear like Rodeo, like Aaron Copland. I love that music so much, without just like, I cry a lot all the time. My nervous system sometimes feels so frazzled that I just have to go off by myself. Yes, true. I am conscientious. Again, on its own, is that really a thing? But with all of this, conscientious, it depends. It depends. Sometimes I think I'm quite irresponsible and impulsive and not conscientious. So I don't know. I don't know about that one. I would need more. Give me more. What do you mean? I certainly care what people think. I'm conscientious of, how I appear to other people. Simply because I'm, the imposter syndrome is just insane. I startle easily. Yeah. Yeah. I'm startling myself easily. But it is true. I get rattled when I have a lot to do in a short amount of time. Yes. Very rattled. But, again, who doesn't? But some people really don't. Some people love to have a very short amount of time to get something done. They love it. That's their vibe. That's their jam. Not moi. I am annoyed when people try to get me to do too many things at once. Oh, yes. Like, oh, yeah. Like, don't, if I'm doing this and you're asking me this, and I think it's the reaction of these things. It's not just the, I'm not ready to talk to you because I'm doing this. It's the level of like freaked outness that is the problem, or that is the difference. It's like, oh my gosh, like when Eric's like playing a video or something, or like listening to a piece of media, and then the doorbell or the buzzer goes off, and I'm trying to slack somebody at work. Like, it's just, I don't know, like I just like, it's like this fuzz in my brain, like this buzzing in the front of my head that just starts, and I want to yell, I want to shout. I try hard to avoid making mistakes or forgetting things. And when I fail at that, it's very, very bad. I'm very hard on myself. When I forget things, I'm sure that I'm like going crazy. How many questions are, okay, there's just, I don't know, about halfway done. You're just doing the dishes. It's okay. I'm on in the background, right? But maybe some of you will really respond to this out there in YouTube land, because this is news to you as well. I make a point to avoid violent movies and TV shows. I did a whole thing, a whole video on scary movies and how I do not watch them. I will not watch them. No way. And like the violent video games and stuff, like, you've got to be kidding me. Why would you watch the slaughtering of people for fun? I do not get it. I do not understand it. Why you would want to be scared, and why you would want to see horrible things, horrible scenes of mayhem and evil. Ugh. No. And I'm not, I'm not naive. but just why? I do not get it. And anything that I see like that, I will remember forever. And it's literally traumatizing. It is, because I didn't see it coming, and it had a negative effect on me. Trauma, right? There's levels of trauma. There's like really big traumas, and there's like little traumas. And it's true. Trauma is a word that it's pretty loaded. It is loaded. But a trauma happens when something surprises you, something that you didn't ask for, that you did not expect and did not prepare for, occurs to you, on you, and you are really negatively affected by it. Yeah, I've seen scary movies that were traumatic because I can't forget them, and they terrified me to the bone. I become unpleasantly aroused when a lot is going on around me. Yeah, asked and answered. I'm not great at parties. I don't know. I think I used to be at one point in my life when I was like really like, I guess in college, undergrad. But over the years, man, I can't. And I don't just mean like, oh, I don't know, like I'm in my early 40s and I just don't like to stay out too late. I'm talking like, you know, starting in like my 20s, like later 20s. I just can't stay very long at a party. I sweat and I get really overwhelmed and I escape. Like I just have to escape. And it really looks antisocial, and sometimes I really look like a jerk. Probably a lot of times I do. I just can't take it. It's not about you. It's not about you. It isn't about you. Same thing at like QuiltCon and Quilt Market and stuff. I mean, just, it's hard. Anyway, okay. Being very hungry creates a strong reaction in me, disrupting my concentration or mood. Yeah, I don't know. Everybody gets hangry, but sure. Changes in my life shake me up. Yeah, and it's having that journal time, that reading time in the morning, the tea time. That's what keeps me from being shook up. That's the constant in a life of a lot of change. I've been through some crazy stuff. Pretty shook about that. If I don't have that consistency with myself, you know, and I don't have it, this stuff's been crazy. We have 6 questions left. I notice and enjoy delicate or fine scents, tastes, sounds, and works of art. Yes, I'm so refined. But I do. I love fine tastes, fine scents. Oh yeah, fine scents. There's a perfumery woman who's not too far from Junkie Corner, and she makes her own perfume. And when I pass that store, oh my God, I really want to go in and get some perfume. I should, right? Being in London, like getting a London perfumer to like, but I don't know how much it is. It might be really expensive. And right now, gotta watch our money. Okay. I make it a high priority to arrange my life to avoid upsetting or overwhelming situations. Yeah, and I do a very bad job of it, I think. Yeah, I mean, actually, that's not true because, you know, to arrange my life to avoid upsetting or overwhelming situations would be to not move to London in a pandemic. So, D-. I'm bothered by intense stimuli like loud noises or chaotic scenes, 1000%. Has been answered. But you know what? Sometimes these questionnaires will ask you the same question in a few different ways to get that consistent answer, you know, to sort of confirm that this particular trait is true to you. The penultimate question, when I must complete or be observed while performing a task, I become so nervous or shaky that I do much worse than I would otherwise. Yeah. I mean, writing, like if someone's watching me write something, as in compose a thing, you know, I completely freeze up. I cannot do it. Like if I'm on a Google Doc, you know, with somebody else and I'm trying to like write something and it's pointless. It's pointless. I can't do it. I just like lock up. And then last question, when I was a child, my parents or teachers seemed to see me as sensitive or shy. Yeah. One time, and this is like the best thing to sort of end this questionnaire. I told a joke when I was a kid to a group of people, some, you know, knock knock joke. I was like, knock knock, and they're like, who's there? And I was like, blah blah blah, and they're like, blah blah blah, who? And I'm like, blah blah blah, punchline. They started laughing and I began to cry because it was like too much attention or too much. I was like, I don't know. I started to cry when I told the joke, and I remember I would be having voice lessons, you know, in like junior high and high school, and I would sing the song and I would just begin to cry because I was under pressure with the voice coach, and the song was very beautiful, and all my emotions, I just had so much emotion, and I would just start to cry. And I would have to like sit down and I was so embarrassed. I was like, I don't know why I'm crying, you know, but I'm just crying. because it was so beautiful. Not my singing. The song was so beautiful, and my voice would just break and I would cry. There's just so many things like that. It's frustrating for people sometimes, I think, because something that they say that they didn't mean a certain way, I take so hard. And it's like, God, like, don't be so sensitive. I mean, literally, you know, don't be so sensitive. Stop being so sensitive. But I can't. I wish I could, you know. But that's why people saying, you know, mean stuff on the internet about me it's terrible, you know, like with this show, and I'm sure there's terrible things in here too, you know, all that stuff, just, it's like devastating. I can't brush it off. People are like, just let it go, you know, let it go, who cares? I'm like, literally show me how to let it go. Please show me how to let it go. Tell me how to, like, remove the hurt from my head, because I would love to do that, but I can't. And so questionnaires like this, and sort of reflecting on the times in my life, and they just countless instances of, you know, Mary's so sensitive, or like, you cry over everything, or, you know, I can't bring up certain things with you because you'll just cry. You know, that's yeah, it's kind of my life. And being that person has felt really lonely at times, I have to say. 15 to 20% of people, according to Dr. Elaine, fall into this category, and I think I'm one of them, you know. So yeah, I think I owe you one more fun fact, and then I'll sign off. I'm getting really hot in this sweatshirt. I'm very sensitive to the heat. One more fun fact. I can see haircuts. I see haircuts. I'm highly sensitive. Photographic memory. Okay, maybe. That'll be the next quiz that I take. Next test. And I'm an HSP. That's not fun, though. What's a fun thing? Oh my gosh. I remembered. Of course. I am a successful matchmaker. Yeah. This is really true. There are like, I hope I can remember them all. There are like 4, yes, I can remember them all. I have 4 instances, at least, and maybe there's more, but I'd have to really identify them. I mean, I'd have to really go back and think. 4 happy couples, 4 marriages. I don't know about one, but I have suggested or encouraged, I have encouraged 4 different people to pursue love when they were like, I don't know if I should, and it worked out. The most important one being my younger sister, Rebecca, and her husband, Jack. She was seeing someone else. This is years ago. I don't know how many years ago, 10 years ago or something like that, maybe more. And she was seeing someone else, and no, we did not like him very much. And we don't get too involved in each other's lives. Sometimes maybe we should get more involved in each other's lives, but I was just like, that guy's not great. And the story is, you know, my sister's to tell, but Jack was, you know, this person in her life, and it was like, when, and she was like, I kind of like this guy. And I remember they were not working together, but they had, you know, they were colleagues of some kind, and he brought her homemade peanut butter, because he was like, oh yeah, I make peanut butter, and she's like, oh, I love homemade peanut butter. And he brought her some, and then he brought her, you know, she ate it all, and she was like, oh, I ate all that peanut butter, and so he brought her some more peanut butter. And I was like, who is this guy named Jack who's giving you peanut butter? There was a mouse in her house, and Jack came over and killed the mouse. And it's a great story. It's so good. She was like, I don't know, like, I like this guy, but I'm seeing this other person, and, you know, we haven't done anything or anything like that, but I don't know, I just think about Jack all the time. And I was like, listen to me. It wasn't just because I didn't like that other guy. I was like, listen to me. You tell him. I can tell what's going on with you, Rebecca. You got to follow your heart. I think you got to tell Jack about your feelings. She did. They're the happiest couple. I mean, they love each other so much. And she ditched the other guy, the loser. Sure, he's fine. I wish him the best. And she and Jack got married, and they've been together ever since. Okay, that's one. The second one, my friend Lindsay in Chicago, she was with the neo-futurists for a long time. She was like, I don't know, I met this person, I think he's really interesting. I don't know. And she was just like, I don't know. She was like on the fence, and we were not like super close friends, but we saw each other a lot in the theater. And I was like, you need to go for that. And I just like really encouraged her, like over some time. I was like, what's up with that guy? You know, I like that guy. I think that guy's interesting, and he really likes you. She's like, no, I don't think so. It's like, oh yeah, he does. And I could tell he did. They got together. I think they got married. Okay. Then also, I just remembered, there are 4 and I remembered them all. And now I've forgotten one, but the one I remember, this one's really good. But there's another one. Okay, so when I was doing the television show, one of my co-hosts, Angela Huffman, I hope it's okay to say that, she was dating. She has 3 kids, triplets. This is all public information because she's on the show, and you know. So she has 3 kids, teenagers, you know, and she went through a divorce, and she was dating, and I mean, I was dating at the time, and I was like, oh God, it's so hard, blah. And she met this person, and anyway, it was the same kind of thing. She was like unsure, and she told me about him, and I was like, I don't know, I like that one. Who did you met this guy, and you met this other guy. Tell me more about this particular guy, you know, this one that you told me about, you know, last month, or something like that. And I was like, you need to go for it. You got to go for this. This feels good to me. This feels really good to me. Not that one, not that other one. That one. And she called him, and she went out with him, and I'm pretty sure they got married. I mean, I'm just saying, they've all said to me, what is the other one? Oh no. Anyway, the thing is, they've all said to me, they like sought me out and told me, Mary, you were the one. You were the one who told me to go for it. And I went for it, and he's the love of my life, or something like that, you know? Like, they've said to me, it wasn't just me like, oh, I guess I'm a matchmaker. They were like, you did it. It was because you encouraged love. You encouraged us to love. Maybe it's because I'm so sensitive, you know? Because that's the thing. There's like the bad stuff with a sensitive person. I should have said that before. You know, you get all that rough stuff that like, don't say that to me. Like, you remember bad things, and you get scared easily, and you don't like loud noises. But the great part of it, and I think that's a lot of Elaine's book, Dr. Elaine, is that these sensitive people in your life, hey man, we're great. we feel things deeply. We can empathize deeply. And, you know, we are sensitive to our environment. So if you're cold or you're like hot, I know. I can see your haircut too. I see that haircut. But like, you know, I'm very, very sensitive to your mood, and I'm very sensitive to the environment, and I can make you more comfortable, and I want to, you know, I care about that. I care about you. And, you know, we're the writers and the poets, maybe. I mean, I think not all HSPs are poets, but it's safe to say all poets are HSPs, right? I mean, you can't have a poet without high sensitivity. And I used to be a poet, used to write poetry. These highly sensitive people can really be good friends, and we can encourage you to go for it, to go for that love, because love's so important, and we know because we feel it so deeply. Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm going to label this video, or title this video, Highly Sensitive Person Quiz, or something like that, because the first part of this video, the people looking for HSP information will not care about, but I'll put a little timestamp when I start to talk about that, and maybe, I don't know, maybe if someone's on YouTube and they're looking for info, or a comrade in arms, a comrade in highly sensitive arms, you'll be like, yeah, okay, I'm not the only one. There's somebody out there in a red sweatshirt in an office building in London, and she gets it. She understands, and I do understand. I hope I kept you company. That was a long one. It was about an hour. I'm really hot. I'm gonna take off this sweatshirt off camera. Yeah, let's cue up some